So question 2, a scatter diagram question. So we're looking at the number of documents checked against the total number of errors. We're told that on another day 90 documents are checked and there's a total of 17 errors. So we're asked to mark this onto the graph. So we need to be careful about our scale and know where to plot 90. Well, 90 is not too difficult. We've got 80 and we've got 100. We should know that 90 is halfway between, and we can see there's a 90 line here. So getting the 90 is fairly straightforward. What about the 17? 17, well, if we look going up, we've got 10 little squares up to 5. That means that 2 little squares are going to stand for 1. So we get to 15, and we're going to need another 4 squares to get to 17. This line here is halfway between 15 and 20. That's 17 and a half. So we need to be 1 square before 17 and a half. So we now need to plot that accurately onto the graph. Now I'm actually making this video on an iPad, and it's quite difficult sometimes to be precise, but I'm going to try and put the mark in the right place. There, I've missed. I'm fairly close there, so we'll sort of say there. But hopefully you can see, I'll draw it out for you here, that if that's the line and that's the 90, then I go just below the thicker line. Okay, so 1 below the thicker line. So I'm trying to show you what I'm putting there. And that is exactly where you put that mark. You've got to be careful. If you don't put it exactly in the right place, you'll lose the mark. Now the second part of the question says, describe the correlation between the number of documents checked and the total number of errors. Well, what we're looking at here is points that are generally, as we move from left to right, are rising. And in that case, we call this positive correlation. So it just says describe the correlation. So all you need to say is that it's positive. And that's part 2. So on to part C, the last part. One day, 110 documents are checked. Estimate the total number of errors in these documents. So 110 documents, 110. So 110 is halfway between 120. So we need to come up this line, and we need to make an estimate that's consistent with the way the dots are going. Now you could draw in a line of best fit and use that, or you could just plot the point in the right sort of place, taking into account the way I'm taking a line through these points. I think I might just mark the line and it might help. So that line's fairly good. We've got some points below it and some points above. So we go to 110, and that's coming out bang on 17. Now you might put the line in slightly lower than me or slightly higher, so the examiners will always allow a slight tolerance here. In other words, that means they'll allow variation in the answer, and they'll probably allow answers between about 16 and between about 16 and 19. So I'm going to put in 17 as my answer, but as I say, they'll probably allow answers from about 16 to 18, and that shows you understand where the total number of errors is likely to be when 110 documents are checked. And that's the final answer.